Hello there, I'm Grayson. I'm going to I'll try to answer a question of why does one finger technique work without going into the music theory that I don't understand, okay? And it's basically to do with the way that notes get repeated on the guitar. So there's only, when you get to the 5th fret on the E, you've now started to climb this second string, the A string, right? Because the 5th fret is the same as the open. So this note does not repeat, or this, or this, or this, or this. They don't repeat on the entire guitar. But that A there is the same as this one here. And the same thing happens again when you climb up. Sharp, B, C, sharp, D. When you get to the D on the A string, it's now the exact same frequency as the open string of the D string. The same happens again when you get to the G on the 5th fret. They're the same. Okay? So what this means is that happens more than once. So if we take this, we know that that's equal to open, and then we keep climbing, we will get to this note, which is on the 10. Right? And so this means that this note appears here, and here, and here. But if we go up once more, and we find this note, it will still be on these other two strings. So now we can do it here, here, and here, as well as here. Okay? But we're starting to run out of fretboard. But there's still an opportunity for us to go up again. We've got the B string here, so the B will appear okay? And so the reason that this works is because if we look at an octave map, you'll see that this is all an octave lower than this octave. This continues, this repeats, it'll jump when we get to here, and you'll basically see a lovely little, like a heat map of the repetition of notes per, like on the guitar per string. And this is basically why one finger technique works, because when we use an E, we actually have a really interesting thing happen here. And what happens is, as soon as you, without even touching, without even making a single choice, a bunch of options are open to you. And then it becomes about how you break the rule, right? Or how you interact with the rule. But it doesn't matter what tuning it is. It doesn't matter what, well, it doesn't matter where the capo is. This rule will move with the capo. It does matter what the tuning is, but it doesn't really matter because of the design of the guitar. So, for the argument, it doesn't matter. It's two different arguments. I'm getting confused. So, just by having E as a drone, which we're going to use a lot of, once we know that E is in the song, it now opens up every version of E across the guitar, including an octave higher, which is on the 12th fret. The exact same one is on the 7th on the A. That then is on the 2. So if we were to anchor onto the A and play the 7, we're just playing an octave. It's the same thing as playing an octave. Okay? So that's really important, because it means that as soon as E is in your song, you now have unlocked all of the E's on the rest of the guitar, including this one. So what I'm doing there is playing the E and the E, both on the 12. Right? Okay? So does that kind of show you? Now I can take that really simple option and start to create interesting sounds. All just to E. This is a pull-off which introduces the D. So now we know that maybe D works with E. Yep, we know that that works. But I talked about proven ground. Now, if I play for you, one of the first things I ever figured out was Jurassic Park. It's just me anchoring and just playing a bass and playing the notes above open. Or it doesn't really matter. But just on the G, and then I'm going to move it onto the D on the A. And it's going to sound almost like call and response, so a different part of the orchestra is coming in. Okay, it's really interesting. Okay, but then exact same numbers but moved string. That led me onto what I call proven ground, which is if you choose a sequence 7, 9, 12, 14, you can now play that 7, 9, 12, 14 on the E, the A, the D, the G. Okay? We ignore the B and the E for right now. Okay? One finger technique doesn't tend to use those. So, what's interesting is as soon as you engage with proven ground, once you've got the 2 on the D to get your E, because that's an E and then an octave higher, and you choose that to unlock on the D string the 2nd fret, and the 2nd fret, the 2nd fret, the 2nd fret. So you can go right, and then obviously you've still got the 12, sorry, the 12 up here as well as the 7, but you do the same thing for the 7, so you get all the 7s. Okay, and then obviously the 12, so we try that with the 12 as well. So automatically, before you even touch the guitar, you know that if you anchor on any of these strings, the G, the D, or the A, or even the E, and then you just play with one finger, you automatically can make a song. If we anchor on the A and just take that 2 that I mentioned, and take the 7, which is the E, take the 12, all of those will work together. They are already pre-approved just by the tuning of the guitar. Okay? However, because the 2 here on the A has an octave on the G on the 4, okay, that now means that the 4 on the D string from the G is a 9. We've now unlocked all the 9s. Right? And then a similar thing happens once again. You've got the 9 on the G, which then unlocks 14 on all the other strings, including itself. And that then starts to create a pattern. So no matter where you start on this 9, you can now move to the 14. Exact same frequency, that's me changing strings. But if we use proven ground, I don't have to change strings. I can go from the 9 on the G here straight to the 14. And I'll still know that the 2 will work. And the 7. Okay? As well as the 5. I know the 5 will work because when the D works on 7, the octave for that is on the 5th, which means we unlock the 5th fret as well. So without even touching it, just because that we have an E as a bass, as a drone note, and similarly we have an A and a D and a G. So we might play I mean, I wouldn't, but we could. So we don't have to always use the E as a drone, but as soon as those notes are involved, they unlock and they paint and fill a lot of the choices on the guitar. We can make it so that those don't work by making certain choices. If I choose 6 here and then land on the 7 there, the 5 probably won't work unless I copy the trick. You can kind of trick things into being musical this way. You end up with a very interesting kind of like jazzy or strangeness, which often is actually the entire point. Like, that's good. You want strangeness. So anyway, this is why when I tell people, doesn't matter where you start, if you try a 6 and you don't like it, 5 and 7 are always your friends. They're gonna work. And this doesn't matter where you move the capo, that rule will follow it. If we put the capo on first, all of a sudden, instead of it being 7, it'd be 8, because they've moved up with the capo, right? So I just thought that was an extra little bit that I should share with you. And I'm going to try and give you a map that demonstrates this and shows it to you, because maybe that's a bit too much information at once when you're just beginning. But basically, this just unlocks the entire fretboard for you, because no matter what you try, you can now unlock because you don't always have to be playing the drum though. You know, it can come in and out. That's another dynamic to play with. Another little dial you can bring in and bring out that helps bring just a little bit of life force back into a simplified way of playing the guitar. With one finger, you can get a lot of very interesting sounds, and that's all I was trying to give you. But that is a very interesting thing, and that's kind of why it works. That's why you're always going to find that you're going to eventually find 7. You're guaranteed to find 9. 10 is in there too. 12 is in there. But there is a rule in which 11 can be in there. And that's going to be just a different scale form. So a scale is just a sequence of notes. And the way that the guitar is set up gives us a very specific scale. And in many ways, we're actually just avoiding sharp notes. So on the E, with the E as a drone, and on the A, we play the 2 on the A, that's going to be a B. And then we've got a choice between 3 or 4. If we go 2, 3, the next note up would be a 5. The next note up would be maybe a 7, but we can check a 6. 2, 3, 5, 6. Doesn't resolve as easily. It doesn't go to, that's a different scale form. 2, 3, 5, 7. And then maybe you can go to 8. Still. It's all about major and minor in a simplified way. But once you get to that 9, your next choice is very likely to be a 10. So let's figure out why, okay? So A is the open. 1 would be A sharp. 2 is B. 3 is C, so it's a whole note. And it's a lot like playing only the white keys on a piano. So once we know that we've gone B and C with 2 and 3, we know that D will work. And of course E will work, because the drone is also an E. We then could go to 8, which is an F. And then 10. But that is very interesting because we followed what is just the C, the C thing. But it adds a little bit of interestingness with the E in the background. So we can make a lot of very interesting things with very simplified choices. And then it just becomes about where we don't do that. But why did it go from 2 to 3? Because there is no B sharp. And why did it go from 7 to 8? From E to F? Because there is no E sharp. G, A. Okay, so that's why that's working. In a sense, you're dodging, or your basic setup is going to allow you to dodge sharp notes for the most part. However, a sharp note on which is this 9 here, now we've got an interesting thing happening because we've got two sharp notes here technically. We've got a G sharp, an F sharp, and then an E, right? But that's another scale form basically. This leads back to my 1-2-2 and 1-1-2, which is part of the two-finger technique. But I would encourage you to just explore and try every single thing. I'm only trying to encourage you to create music as you play, to explore, because you need to become familiar with failure, calibration, writing. It's so important. It's overlooked as a method of becoming good, you know. Instead, we tend to do a thing in which we chase the performance paradigm, we chase competency, and we try to do so in a very safe way. We kind of put the lanes upon the bowling alley in a sense, which, don't get me wrong, learning this way is still a little bit of that, but the entire point is you compensate for that by me not telling you what you can and can't do, and by you not allowing for me to tell you that, okay? So eventually you unlock the rest of the guitar and all the other techniques and multiple fingers and, you know, all that good stuff. But it's just a frustration-free way to get as creative because this becomes mechanical failure, not conceptual failure. And mechanical failure is a very different problem, which you would then maybe assign to your person. And that's what I'm trying to share with you. Don't do that. This is hard. That is hard to do. Getting the timing right, that's also hard. That is not your personal talent failure. That is not character failure. It's mechanical failure, because what you're trying to do is hard for your hands and your brain to do. It's just going to take some time. Even now, I wrote this. That was a hard transition. Not a comfortable bar chord for me. This transition here, I was trying to jump to this chord here. I couldn't do it in time. And then I adjusted, and instead I went and just played each note individually, which ended up sounding better than what I was initially trying to do. By trying to do this ridiculous jump from the bar here up to here, which is a nice chord, don't get me wrong, but I prefer what I did with it when I recognized and accepted that my hands have a mechanical limit, especially because of my brain being what it is, so I don't practice the way that I should, etc., etc. And I'm not trying to talk you out of using normal chords or normal learning methodologies. I'm trying to give you perspective on the other side of things that maybe doesn't always get mentioned, and give you options, and then reject them on your own terms. So this is all very difficult to do. You know, it takes a lot of time, and if everything can go wrong, much less can go wrong with one finger, and then you can get some really good little moments that prove that you have musicality, which you do. You know, you have ears. You know, there are certain people who don't or can't, or it's harder to get to, but that just means it's just a little bit harder. All the more reason to have an easier way to get into it. There's always a way, always a way. Maybe not for guitar, maybe you have to get into like drum pads and stuff like that. You know, there's always a way if you want to be musical. But the guitar is not so forgiving, and this just makes it a little bit easier. And I hope I think, other than showing you my diagrams, this is probably the last video I really need to do for one finger technique. Yeah, I think it probably is. But we'll figure it out, because I've got OCD, so I'll think of something. I always do. So yeah, I think that made sense. If it didn't, jump on the Google form and give me feedback, drop comments, make requests. I can slow down, I can zoom in, I can give you a really good view of the guitar. You know, as always, I will mention I'm using a high vibe guitar by Lark, which is a special preamp which has actuator speakers, and it excites the wood, turns it into a speaker. It's even a Bluetooth speaker. It's got a line in, so you can plug something in and the sound will come out here. It records itself and loops itself. Always record, always hit record, and record everything. I will go out of my way to say, film everything. Film everything you do. You know, and my recording etiquette is, maybe this is another video, so I'll probably repeat myself at some point, but it's fine. my recording etiquette is to play the thing, and I say, if I know the name, okay, so that's a C, and then I do a funky little thing there with the index on 1, and I literally just talk to myself as I walk myself through it. And then I'm doing like a weird chord, I don't know the name of that, but it's 0, 2, 2, 1, 3, 0. I just use numbers. And if I know that it's a bar F on the first, I just say so. And then I don't know what this is. So I say, and then I just play 12 on E, 11, 14, 13. But if I do, and that's a chord, and I'd give it as a little example and slow it down. That's my recording etiquette. Maybe I should do another video for that. But with me reviewing everything I've ever done, eventually you're going to be seeing my etiquette come into play anyway as I go, wait, what? Sound of a bus going past me as I'm trying to talk. So I tend to repeat myself a few times. Luckily, the OCD makes that easy for me. So then I can at least stand some chance to rebuild it on the other side. So yeah, that is, I think, the last thing you need to know. Yeah, thanks for watching.